Hey, it's the off night, everybody. I'm Mark Sweetman, your host with the most, doing the tech stuff and the announcing stuff and all that other stuff. Uh, our normal announcer and sidekick and start off the shower, Andy, had somebody do something to his phone. I'm guessing he took it into like an Apple store and and you know how that works. They just say, "Oh, I know what to do. I'll just do this," and they do it for you, and then they give you the phone back, and they know how to operate it, but you don't. So anyway, let's get right to the show. If my wife comes down for the poem, we'll include here. But right now, let's get everybody back on the screen. There they are. There's my friend Sam Greenfield and Jason Grant.
Sam?
We'll let Andy as he gets here.
Mark?
Thank you. Emma, do you want to read your poem?
Yeah.
My
Jason,
wife is
your
here.
hair is looking great.
My wife is here with her weekly poem. You know the one. It's the one that she
That's weekly.
Is that the one that rhymes with Nantucket?
Yeah, the one that rhymes with Nantucket. Exactly. You want to sit
Your
down
wife's
here?
going crazy.
Oh, you're ready for me already? Okay.
Well, we can wait. We can.
No, I'm ready.
Are you ready? I'd like getting it out of the way, but that way we have like a
He
little.
gets rid of me.
Nothing says respect like get you out of the way.
It's about the man from Nantucket. If that's the
That too.
Get you out of the way. Boy, if that isn't love, I don't know what is.
yeah.
Before we went on the air, before we went live, Sammy was telling us that Barbara was going back to an open mic, and he gave one of the great compliments, which was, and if what if should happen if nobody laughs? And he says, like always. All right, here's my bride, the lovely Susan Sweetman, with her weekly topical poem. Here we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Speak up.
I'll get right to it. Oh, Mark changed the mic. What happened?
I was on delay on the old system, so that is not on delay.
Okay, July 11th. Now is the time for the off night this week. Sit back and get ready, my friend. A rhyme of the news is what you now seek. Be prepared, though, the poem may offend. There are fires out west. There's a new COVID strain. We must all do our best. Get the vaccine or don't complain. Shinzo Abe is dead in Japan, shot down with a homemade gun. Despite their national gun ownership ban, Prime Minister's death won't be undone. January 6th panel resuming. All in favor, say aye. Missing docs were subpoenaed, there's blame. Steve Bannon now willing to testify because Justin Clark contradicted his claim. In the Tian Shan Mountains in Kyrgyzstan, on a guided tour, hikers went Friday. Thank God no one died in that giant snow slam when an avalanche started quite mighty. There you go.
Thank you, Susan.
Nice.
Thank you. A couple of things in that I'm sure we'll get to. First of all, I had a gun person, saying that, see, if we do away with guns, you'll still be able to manufacture guns. I go, yeah, good point. I'd also like to point out that it was somebody who shot a conservative with a homemade gun.
Yeah.
If that's the way you want to go, we'll just go with that.
Well, you know, Steve Scalise, who's a big conservative, right? He was shot. He was shot at a softball game, a DC softball game, a congressional softball game, and almost died.
Yep.
And the guy who shot him was an emotionally disturbed man.
Yeah, he was a Bernie bro.
And he those people are annoying. They're not emotionally disturbed. They are really no. See, you almost had me, because this is how I feel whenever they start talking. Okay. Enough. You know, like if I hear if somebody says to me, "Did you hear what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said?" No, I didn't. Do you get my emotional drift there? No, I didn't. Okay. It's not going to be something that makes me go, "Oh, okay." No. No. But Scalise voted to allow mentally disturbed people to own guns, and he got shot by a guy who's mentally disturbed. I don't, I don't get it.
Wait a minute. Now, your way of thinking is that you don't understand that. My way of thinking is, here's a guy who can overcome being shot and still stick to his guns.
No pun intended.
Well, that's why Schwarzenegger married into the Kennedy family. They wanted to breed a Kennedy that can take a bullet. I mean, that's not mine. That's someone else.
My favorite joke about the Kennedys is, just anything to start it. Like, are you unhappy? Am I unhappy? Does Rose Kennedy have a black dress?
All right, we hooked you up, it looks like, Andy.
Yeah, there
he is.
Kennedy jokes, I think. So, okay.
Next, we're going to move on to Edith Wilson. And
wait, do you remember in the God, I love talking to people near my age. Do you remember in a National Lampoon, they had a picture, a photograph of a Volkswagen.
Oh, yes.
Up to its windshield in water. And they said, if Ted Kennedy had been driving a Volkswagen, he'd be president today.
Yeah, I remember that.
Good old Teddy.
God, I miss National Lampoon and Mad Magazine. Those were great. Those were great periodicals.
I'm no longer going to publish. I'm told that Mad is approaching or has approached its last issue.
Yeah, I knew one of the editors.
I thought they already had it. I thought they already
had. You remember there was an editor, Nick Meglin? His daughter, when I was a dorm director, his daughter was in my dorm, and Joe Raiola, who came on later, was also an editor. And so Joe, he said, I'd appreciate it if I could come on your show and plug the magazine. And I said, okay, sure. And I had him on 3 different times. So he said, we're going to have a show, featuring comedians. So I said, oh, okay. So I show up. He didn't invite me. I admit that. But I said, is there a chance I could be on the show? And he goes, well, no. We already have our lineup set up. I go, I've had you on my show 3 times, and it never occurred to you that I might want to do this show. He said, no, well, we had the lineup set. I said, when was this show set up? He goes, well, 3 days ago. I said, 3 days ago, you had the lineup set. I said, listen, the next time you want to be on my show, let me know so I can tell you to go fuck yourself.
There you
go. Joe Raiola.
There you have it.
My hero.
Hey, this is new. I don't know if you guys heard of it. Pete Buttigieg is now a Michigander.
Yes.
He's now officially a what?
A Michigander.
A Michigander. He just registered to vote. He and Justine made Traverse City their residence.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, another reason to avoid Traverse City, but okay. Oh, come on. That guy's going to have all the rough trade he can handle up there. I mean, he'll have a Motel 6 booked just outside of Traverse City. And I can only imagine what he was like during the trucker uprising. He looking for some reason to go to Ottawa and just hang out, fire grinder.
What gets me is that he moves to Traverse City, Michigan, and he's the travel secretary. I don't think there's a more unattractive place as far as getting to or getting from than Traverse City, Michigan.
Maybe that was the idea. You can't get hold of him, so what better place to move?
Yeah, there's no train goes to Traverse City. There's only one airline that flies to Traverse City. I mean, it's.
I hope it's not Spirit.
Oh.
No, it's Delta. Delta flies.
Yeah, but it's one of those Delta Link. It's the 2-engine. Where you're sitting behind the pilot with your scarf and your goggles.
No, it depends. It depends. They have more than one flight, and one of the flights is an old DC-9, I think.
That says it all right there. I mean, an airplane that's been obsolete for 50 years. I don't like Secretary Buttigieg, and it's simple. I'm a struggling Uber driver out here, and he chose to start laughing about how much gas prices are. And frankly, what do you expect me to do with that? And I understand the guy can't wave a wand, although I'm sure he's got, a wand and whatever other accoutrement necessary for his little fairy prince life.
Hey, watch your French, pal.
But there's people out here working for a living. In all seriousness, Debbie Stabenow, the same thing. One of the better politicians to come out of this state in the last 50 years, because it's not John Engler, right? It's not our former governor, whose name I can't even remember, the one who screwed up Flint's water supply. But when she's sitting there making, oh God, now I've got a hangover and I haven't drank. But Debbie Stabenow went toe to toe with John Engler back when she was in the state Senate, and she did some things I think that were pretty smart, especially as it related to state funding of schools. And it showed that she was an adroit politician. And when she got to the Senate, she did what all junior senators are supposed to do. She took orders from the senior senator, Carl Levin.
Right.
I just think her more recent foray was ill-timed and cloth-eared, and there's all kinds of cliches we can get into, and it won't matter. It won't get her unelected. This isn't like Don Regal when he's hip deep in some savings and loan scandal that brought down everybody except McCain and maybe John Glenn, if we can even think back that far. But again, I just think it maybe shows that she spends a little too much time there and not enough time here.
The only time I ever saw Jay Leno do a really political joke is he said they're thinking about changing the back of a $20 bill. It's just going to show John McCain waving to poor people from a yacht.
That would be perfect.
It is, and I just thought, and it's actually one that I'm not saying because people are stupid, but it wasn't a story that was sexy. So it's a story that you have to know about it.
Yeah,
the Keating scandal. You have to know about that.
Yeah. I mean, and Keating was the guy who was the big anti-porn guy for about 40 years.
Right.
He was you on YouTube, and you can see some of his really laughable sort of propaganda films that he made in the 50s and 60s. And this guy was like, you can tell if this guy had met Ed Wood near a truck stop outside of El Segundo, there would have been magic in the air. Because
truck stop in El Segundo may be the greatest phrase I've ever heard in my life.
Nobody was really looking forward to like Mexican prison sex than Mr. Keating. And I think Ed Wood would have been, again, the perfect paramour to bring along to such a soiree.
Where's the only place it's bad to hear Jesus loves you? In a Mexican prison.
There you go. Well, hold on. He might bring chocolates and lube. I mean, if he really loves you, he'll bring the very best.
You're not allowed that in prison.
Oh, you haven't been recently, have you?
Well, if memory serves.
Well, I know all about serving, Sam. So, and
by the way, Mark Leibovich wrote a book. Guy who writes for Atlantic, about the subservience of the Republican senators to Trump, and the name of it is "Thank You for Your Servitude." It's a great title.
I thought it was maybe "May I Have Another."
Does anyone remember the senator, again, another big old Republican who was caught waving his weenie around in a airport, 5-6 years ago? And his defense was that, I have a wide stance. And
damn it.
Yeah, another one of those closet cases.
He was the guy that was caught in the bathroom.
Yes, that's what I mean. Big old closet.
He's from Larry Craig.
Larry Craig. Oh my God. Yeah.
Larry Craig. Idaho Republican.
Do you remember the statement he made?
Amongst others. Yeah. Well, I love the wide.
I am not gay.
No.
No. My favorite part was he goes, "I am not gay. I have never been gay." Well, what did you think? One day you decided to. I love these guys. Hear about Joe? He turned gay. No. It's not like, well, I just had a nice meal. I want to blow somebody. No, it's not like that.
No. Exactly.
But I remember when he made the statement, he turned and he left, and some guy in the crowd was yelling, "Come on, Larry, be gay for Christ's sake." Oh, I love that. I just love that. Come on, Larry.
I mean, yeah, again, these guys who are the the ultra conservatives, and sure enough, well, you don't have to worry about them getting their pages pregnant, so it's not a Kennedy thing.
They don't have pages anymore.
No, they don't. I mean,
they don't need them. They don't need them. They text.
About to say they can bend over anyone they want. They don't just need a page.
Yeah, you don't have to be picky.
No, I mean, well, you're in an airport in Minneapolis. I think choice has gone really completely out of the window at that point. I mean, have you ever been in a large metropolitan airport men's room? I mean, it's one of the highlights of my life. But
it depends. It depends on the soap.
Yeah, go for the non-scented, but because
you have to, otherwise people talk.
Yeah, well.
So this guy says to his wife, "Whenever I think of you, I think of a toe." And she goes, "A toe?" He goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Big toe or baby toe?" "Baby toe." "Oh, because I'm short and cute?" "No, because I want to bang you on a coffee table."
That's like a dirty dad joke,
Courtesy of Frank Santarelli.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. As long as it's a glass coffee table and you can put a camera down there, but
no, that's Danny Thomas. You're thinking of.
Yeah. The Danny Thomas special.
Yeah, I mean,
that's one of those stories that normally, I think, oh, that's just a rumor, but everyone on the planet has heard that.
Oh,
therefore, I think it's true. But you know what his nickname was in Hollywood? The Pope.
What?
Because he was so incredibly devout. He's a very devout Catholic. Yeah. And for me, he'll always be a hero to me because he gave us St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure. But he liked...
And his daughter, Marlo, I'm very happy to say, has carried it on, They do wonderful work. I mean, they save lives. They really do. And parents don't pay a dime. They don't even pay to fly there.
I know. I was in a red. In fact, U of M did my daughter's bone marrow transplant. Only they weren't going to do it. Only after we got St. Jude's to agree to do it. But U of M said,
"Oh, we'll do it." I'm sorry. Are we landing?
No, Mark. I think it's either Mark or Andy. We're getting some interference here.
Well, it's not me.
That's somebody's automobile. That's not me. I'm in a room by myself.
I'm broadcasting from the Jeffrey podcast line, so I don't think I have anything.
Andy, you may have heard this before. I was in a restaurant one time. Have you ever heard this before? I was in a restaurant one time, and they had the Danny Thomas.
Go ahead and take the spot because they always block my door in. Are you sure? Sure, take it. No problem. They don't like me, so I'll see you later.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
I gotta mute this bastard. All right. Right, man. Andy's muted now until he can take care of his.
Andy, I think the normal procedure is just leave it on the bureau.
Or on the pillow.
Oh, anyway, I was going to say there was a restaurant that served a Danny Thomas plate. Did you ever hear about this?
A red what?
The Danny Thomas. You go to there's a restaurant that serves a Danny Thomas. Have you heard this before?
No.
It's chipped beef. It's chipped beef on a clear glass plate.
Oh man! No. Oh my God! Oh my God! That's great.
I gotta. You know what? I think I'm gonna post that because I want to find out where I bet they still serve it. I want to find out where that restaurant is.
Is that true?
I just love that. I've been told there's a restaurant that has on the menu the Danny Thomas, and they don't. It doesn't say what it is because they allow the waitress to get the punchline. What's the Danny Thomas? And she says, it's chipped beef on a clear glass plate.
But couldn't they be sued?
I spell it.
People that have sandwiches named after them all the time. It's just a sandwich. Would people sue you for a sandwich? I don't know.
Well, it depends on what the meat is.
You're in.
Oh, by the way, what was I going to tell you? Yeah, the hell with it. Never mind.
All right then.
Oh, by the way, so Bannon is going to testify, right?
Oh yes.
Am I the only one who thinks he's going to just get up and go, Donald Trump is a great American and you can all go kiss my ass?
Wouldn't surprise
that
me.
could happen.
I mean,
he could also turn on Trump because Trump isn't Trumpy enough for him.
Well, but this is the only reason I think he would turn on him. I think that because I don't think that bothers Bannon. I think Bannon politically is welded to Trump, but I don't think that what you're saying. I think what you're saying is true, but I don't think that would stop him from holding allegiance. I think the only thing that would make me think that he's just gonna whatever come clean means to Steve Bannon, that his lawyer said to him, "This is your one chance to avoid 5 years in prison." Well, one opportunity.
What I heard on the radio is that they think that Bannon is just trying to extend time out because he's up on charges for the not accepting the
Oscar,
the quest to go in front of the Congress. So it's contempt of Congress. So he said he would actually testify, but he hasn't sent any paperwork or anything over to them. So it's a lawyer gig to try and extend out his time. So they're not even going to try and get him to testify.
I mean, A.G. Holder was held in contempt of Congress. Nothing happened.
Well,
that's true.
I mean,
that's true.
Right?
So again, with Bannon fancies himself a kingmaker, and he is an odious. To give you an example, Ben Shapiro hates Bannon.
I'm sorry, who does?
Ben Shapiro.
Right.
Yeah, he's sort of the new sort of right-wing, rabbi, and
like the William Buckley of this generation.
Exactly. A little more Hasidic. But if he hates Bannon, that kind of tells you something about this guy. And there's other people who don't like Bannon, and again, he's just got an awful personality. And but I think this guy thinks he's a kingmaker.
He doesn't go out of his way to be likable. He
believes that he made Trump, and that he'll make the next president, and so on and so forth. And the guy ain't no David Axelrod, so far as I can see. I'm going to tell you something that I saw today that stunned me. It shocked me. In a head-to-head, Kamala Harris beats what's his name? DeSantis.
DeSantis, really?
In a head-to-head, and in a head-to-head,
who did the questioning?
Despite his low numbers, Biden beats Trump.
Nah, no, I mean, no. I mean,
I could see Biden. I could see Biden beating Trump.
Well, it's happened
easy.
Once, hasn't it?
I can see Biden beating Trump.
The thing that killed Trump in the last election, the thing that killed him was, and this is totally his fault, that debate they had, right?
Yeah.
His assistant said to him, "All right, now we're going to prep for this." He goes, "No, I'm just going to wing it."
Yeah.
He could not have made more of a mistake.
Well, he made a ton of other mistakes, thinking he was going to sue his way back into the office.
But that's the thing. That's the thing I think that killed him. I do. Just killed him. And I remember Dennis Miller, for whom I used to have a lot of respect, and his political leanings have no impact on how I feel about Dennis Miller. So it's not that. But he said, Biden's going to get his ass whipped. Trump's going to wipe the floor with him. When this is over, blah, 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 blah. And I kept saying to myself, Trump has no experience as a debater. He's not a forensic genius. What makes him say that? And I knew that he wasn't prepared for it. I knew, they kept saying, well, we're trying to prep him, but he keeps saying he's going to wing it. I said, well, what's going to happen? It's what happened. I mean, I'm no genius, but I said what would happen. He would just keep interrupting and keep yelling over him and look like an idiot.
Well,
it hurt him.
Jimmy Carter underestimated his opponent, and it didn't work out for. They had 1 or 2 debates in '76.
They had 2.
Okay, and I know.
But Reagan is a professional speaker.
Yes, and Carter underestimated that.
Carter no. Reagan was a pretty good actor.
Before we go discussing,
and a hell of a dance.
Before we go discussing debates anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we go discussing debates anymore, I just have debates don't mean shit anymore. They really they don't. I mean, they don't move the electorate. The people that agree with you agree with your candidate and you disagree with the opponent, and so. You're basically
because there's no
playing
middle.
To 17 voters in the country. Because
right, there's no
else,
middle.
By the time
it's
we
left
get to those
or right,
debates,
and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody. That's it. And so the debates don't swing anybody.
Not like they used to.
Anybody that counts. I mean, all right. So you get a few. You get a few more liberals in Mississippi that.
But
it might get swayed. I don't know.
But you know what it does do, Mark? It gets people to vote who might not have voted. Debates. In other words, one of the things that hurts either political party is people don't come out and vote.
Well,
if a debate motivates somebody to vote who wouldn't have voted, period, that's a big deal.
And let's not forget Ford's major gaffe in '76. When Ford was saying that Poland was not underneath Russian domination. Now, I understand what he meant. But
I did too, right?
He was trying to say the Polish are still Polish; they're not Russian. But it sounded like he didn't understand Soviet dominance, and Jimmy Carter beat him over the head with that. And the election in '76 was a lot closer than anyone thought it would.
Oh, it was very close.
Given that '72, again, if you'd held that election in '74 after the resignation, Ford doesn't stand a chance. And Jimmy Carter was a hell of a candidate in '76. I mean, he absolutely. And by the way, let's not forget that Jimmy Carter helped get rid of George Wallace and the rest of the loony right, or I don't know, right,
Southern rights,
Democrat Party, yeah, whatever you want to call them. I mean, after that, Wallace even moderated his position in the last few years of his term. I mean, and so again, if you can get your opponent to shoot himself in the dick, that's the way to go. That's why we're going to still have the debates.
That's going to be, if I ever have to run for anything, that's going to be my slogan. Mark Sweetman. I'll get my opponent to shoot himself in the dick.
Well, if you're running against a woman, be careful.
It's pretty comedy jibbing. I don't know. All right, I got to go back. I'm back.
All right, Sam's back.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah, there are mute
buttons
on the
on the biggest gaffe of '76 was what was his name? The guy who was Commerce Secretary, the one who said blacks only like 3 things.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Archibald Cox is the one who said that one.
No.
It was the one that got nailed with a stripper in the water.
No, that was Fanny Fox, right. and that was the stripper was Fanny Fox.
I mean,
that was Wilbur Mills with Fanny Fox.
No, right. That was Wilbur Mills. No, the guy I'm speaking of, he said, this is what happened. He was on an airplane with Pat Boone.
Yeah,
and Pat Boone asked this question of this guy. Was it Butts?
Yeah, Earl Butts.
That's it, Earl Butts.
That's it. And Pat Boone said to him, why is it that we're the party of Lincoln? I thought it was a good question. Why is it that we're the party of Lincoln and we can't attract black voters? What is it about this party that we are the party of Lincoln? Our president emancipated the slaves. Our party was instrumental in the Civil Rights Bill, much more than the Democrats.
Yeah.
Why are and Butts said, because colored people, that was what he said, only want 3 things:
loose shoes,
loose shoes,
place to shit,
tight, and a warm place to shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part of that whole thing was the way the New York Times, all the news that's fit to print, said, and a warm place to have to exude bodily functions. And I said, fellas, just this once, you could say shit. No one's going to get upset. And then Butts, of course, said,
"Yeah,
this is my favorite thing. I don't remember saying it. Really?
No,
it's hard to forget.
Well, let's not forget the New York Times was also the one to sink Jesse Jackson's campaign in '88 with the Hymietown remark. And
one of the great lines in any movie I've ever seen was in the movie Q&A with Nick Nolte playing a corrupt cop in New York, and Five-ish Finkel played this lawyer, and he comes up to Lee Richardson, who's also a lawyer who despises Five-ish Finkel, and he goes, and he's introducing him to Timothy Hutton, who's a young lawyer, and he says, Aloysius, this is Nathan Pearlstein. When Jesse Jackson said Jaime, he meant him. What a great line. Oh, that movie had some great lines. There was Luis Guzman, great actor, was having an argument with Armando Sante, who's a gangster, and Guzman is a cop, but they've known each other from the old neighborhood. And Asante says to him, "You're a detective? Hey, you couldn't find a fucking Jew in Rockaway." Oh God. Oh God. Sidney Lumet's the most underrated director of my lifetime.
I highly agree. He is the best. He is the best.
Murder on the Orient Express, Serpico, Failsafe,
Pawnbroker.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Oh, he did Pawnbroker too.
Yeah. You know what won the Oscar for Best Actor that year?
I have no idea.
Instead of Rod Steiger?
No, who?
Lee Marvin for Cat Ballou.
Well, I can't
argue that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so few times that a comedic actor, well, he's not a comedic actor, but an actor doing a comedic role wins.
Right. And he said,
his eyes are so red.
Say again?
You should see him from my side. It's like, hey, your eyes are really red. You should see him from my side,
You heard the story that Lee Marvin told.
Oh God, that's great. Oh my God. That's
Lee
hysterical.
Marvin and Cassavetes were out in LA getting hammered, and Cassavetes had to go, and he started to drive. I don't know if it was down the PCH or whatever, but he starts to drive, and he gets pulled over by one of the CHIPS officers, who pulls him over, and he looks at him. He goes, "You're John Cassavetes?" He goes, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Did you know Lee Marvin is on your roof?" And on the roof of the car was Lee Marvin holding on by his fingertips.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Lee Marvin tells that story, and it's again, this is the grand old days. I don't think we'll ever have anything quite like that ever again.
Orson Bean tells a story about. He said the one time in his life he ever dropped acid. He's driving across the Golden Gate Bridge, and he gets pulled over, and the cop says to him, "Do you know how fast you were going?" So he figures he was doing like 90, but he said, "I didn't want to say exactly what I was doing, so I would drop it a little to like 60. And if he says, well, you're doing 90, I'd go, oh my God, I had no idea. You know, when you're driving over the bridge, you lose track." So he says, 60? He goes, "You're doing 7 miles an hour."
God, I miss Bean. Man got ran over in a traffic accident 3 years ago.
So he didn't get a ticket, but he said, "Sir, please, foot on the gas." 7.
Oh God!
I didn't know that those things could measure 7 miles an hour.
7 miles an hour. Foot on the gas, sir.
That's why I believe he was doing acid, because that's exactly what you do, tripping balls. I mean, and trying to drive.
Well, you're trying to focus, so.
I always used to have the sort of visual illusion that I was driving straight down, and if I wasn't very careful, my car was going to float off the road. But what can I say? It was good acid. It was the 80s.
When I you should have been there for the 70s.
If only. If only.
When we did it in the 70s, we stayed up for like, I don't know, 30 hours. Yeah. And when we came down, everybody is sleeping, and I couldn't sleep.
No, it'll keep you up for hours.
Everyone else is out. And I'm like, I feel fine. I feel wide awake. I don't feel like I'm tripping anymore. you know, and but then everyone
Sam?
else, yeah. Yes.
What's the skinny on the Lansing radio job? What's the skinny on the Lansing radio job?
I haven't heard back from them, which isn't good or bad, but I don't know what their time frame is, and
okay.
I'm scared to ask.
Well, if you need me to go up there and threaten the program director's family, let me know. It's not a long drive.
Well, I think it's like, for me, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You know, I haven't called.
It ain't free.
That's right. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to call them and go, well,
we're waiting.
We're waiting.
Listen, I don't want to drop names, but Mark Sweetman and I are very close. And believe me, you don't want to piss him off. So
hire a homeless dude to start your car for the next couple of weeks, pal. Just saying, you know.
And don't tell me you're not hiring me because I'm from that Jewish tribe of Indians. Sue. Schwarzes, they're darker than we are.
Great line.
Oh, God bless him. God bless him.
Oh,
and darker than we are.
I guess you guys all know that James Caan passed away a couple days ago.
Yes.
And
and Kevin Rooney passed away the day before yesterday.
And Tony Sirico.
Yeah, Tony Sirico. I knew that one.
And Gregory
the guy who directed A Boy and His Dog, or produced A Boy and His Dog, also passed away. He was a character actor, and he was with the Wild Bunch and did a whole series of westerns.
Really?
Yeah.
Not Warren Oates is dead.
Not Warren Oates
has been dead.
Yeah, he's been dead.
And Ben Johnson is dead.
Oh,
Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Great.
But he played the guy who worked with Strother Martin in the Wild Bunch. They're always having arguments.
You know, the what's his name?
Once you see his face, you'll know who it is.
Warren Oates and Ben Johnson played brothers in the Wild Bunch. Mm-hmm. And their names were, don't ask me why I remember this, Lyle and Tector Gorch. So someone said to me, that's a really messed up name. I said, which one, Tector or Gorch?
No, Lyle.
No, Lyle's wild.
Wild.
You know,
in the Wild Bunch, Strother Martin and this guy were always trying to get higher body counts. They were always like,
somebody look it up, for Christ's sake.
That's got to be Sam Peckinpah, Wild Bunch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is Sam Peckinpah director.
Ernest Borgnine was in it.
Oh, yeah. God. And you don't get directors like Peckinpah anymore because, well, he'd be arrested and in jail next to Harvey
Wild Bunch cast.
I think his last name was Lang of some sort. It's one of those lines.
Lang?
Lang, PK Lang or something like that.
Bunch has a cast of 57 actors. Here are the first three: William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, and Robert Ryan.
We knew that, you mechanical bitch. Now get down to the...
Wow, you're very harsh.
You are harsh. I'm asking Siri, and Jason calls her a bitch. Like I'm gonna get an answer now.
She's just another voice like an insect left squashed on my windshield on the information superhighway.
I got news flash for you, pal. She knows where you live.
Yeah.
And get on Grindr at about midnight.
That's like that thing with Woody Allen where his TV is on the fritz and he gets mad and he kicks it in, and then he gets on an elevator, and the elevator is one that announced floors. And it gets to one floor before his. He goes, "Aren't you the guy who kicked in the television?"
Boy and his dog. Director.
And it bounces him from one end of the door elevator to the other, and then it says, "And it rudely ejected me, and I definitely heard an anti-Semitic gong."
Andy.
Yeah.
LQ Jones.
That's him.
Wow. I do know who he is.
That's him.
I do know who he is.
Yes, I mean he was great in Casino.
Yeah.
In Casino, we're about to kick this kike's ass clear out of Nevada.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
you know what I liked about him in that movie? Subtle.
Yes.
Yeah, he's very subtle.
We're about to kick this.
94, dead at 94. How about that?
Yeah.
You know, that also
big line.
I mean, he directed, he produced. I mean, he wasn't just an actor.
No, he's one of these guys who, not when he got to Hollywood, but once he got there, he said, you know, this is a very temperamental business, and I got to find something to do besides act.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, and they all do that, by the way. De Niro directed A Bronx Tale.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he also directed the best spy movie ever. Was it Shepherd? Oh gosh, it was Matt Damon is in the lead. Came out fairly recently. Francis Ford Coppola's movie company made it. I think it was shot with Zoetrope. Oh gosh, The Good Shepherd.
The Good Shepherd.
Yeah, with Meryl Streep.
No, I don't think Meryl Streep is in that.
That's not the one with Meryl Streep and Philip Seymour Hoffman?
No.
Oh, you're thinking about the one about the Afghanistan imbroglio. This is about the founding of the CIA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And De Niro played Donovan.
Yes.
Wild Bill Donovan.
Yeah.
Who my grandfather, I am told, used to drive during World War II, way back in the day. Because my grandfather.
That's funny. A friend of mine's father drove Eisenhower during D-Day.
Yeah, my grandfather was in or associated with I forget what it was, the operation to get the German scientists collected up right at the end of the war.
What was that old joke? Our German scientists are better than your German scientists.
Yeah, Ice Station Zebra. My dad stole the Admiral's Jeep. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all he did. All right.
And Hawkeye did not steal the Jeep in MASH. He left in the one that he arrived in, so he couldn't have stolen it.
Yeah.
My dad felt up Mamie Eisenhower. Top that.
I don't think I want to top that. It's a little.
But by the way, like a fascinating story.
Speaking of National Lampoon, do you remember they had not a lottery? What would you call it? Name the day that Mamie Eisenhower dies.
A Deadpool.
A Deadpool. That was it. Name the day that she dies. And I actually have a friend, and we're on the phone, and he says, I missed it by 2 goddamn days. I said, you did that? He said, does it matter if I am in it or not? What, is she never going to die? Yeah, I did it. And I said, well, I got to tell you, the thing about her never going to die is closer than we think. I remember Alan King always had this great bit where he would read obituaries, and they all ended with, he is survived by his wife. All these obituaries, he is survived by his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Including Alan King.
Yeah. Well,
I met him. He was a nice guy.
Alan King had one of my favorite marriage lines of all time, and that was, do you know why Jewish wives outlive their husbands? Oh no,
they want to.
Why do Jewish men die before their wives? Because they want to.
Because they want to. Yes, to get away.
Oh, one of my favorite lines.
Alan
King was a guy. I put Alan King up there with Robert Klein as one of the people that don't get enough credit for what they contributed. Yes, great stand-up. Yes,
and someone who
was awesome.
He wasn't just doing Borscht Belt comedy. I mean,
not at all.
All those boys.
No, he did.
Some of these guys who were doing
that. Well, Shelley Berman had a unique.
Well, he had that delivery. I mean, like another one who's got a unique delivery, Franklin Ajayi. I mean, he comes up in the 70s.
Yeah.
Sort of the jazz comedian.
Was high every day of his life.
As well as could have been.
Yeah, I opened for him a couple of times, and he had to start getting high, like an hour before he went on stage.
Nice guy.
He couldn't do it without being high. He's a great guy.
Doing it high. That would be absolutely terrifying to me. Wow.
He couldn't do it high. He couldn't do it if he wasn't high.
Hell of a, but again, he had a delivery that's a sort of staccato approach.
You know, if you're high all the time, then that's who you are. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like, well, he was high, that's why he screwed up. No. That's who he was. And therefore his delivery and his timing and all that, if it was really good, if that's what it took, that's what it took.
Yeah. And you know, that period of time when stand-up was relevant well beyond anything about comedy. I mean, it was really into social satire. Dick Gregory, a good example of that. You know, someone who
Dick
broke
Gregory,
down that wall.
You said, what do you say? Baseball is the greatest sport for black people. It's the only sport where a black man can wave a stick at a white man and no one pulls a gun. You know, the joke he tells that I love, he said he went to a sit-in in Alabama and he ordered chicken, a whole chicken. And these three rednecks came up to him and said, whatever you do to that chicken, we're going to do to you. Yeah. So I picked it up and I kissed it on its butt. But he was, you know, they were talking about, I don't know if we talked about that Cosby documentary.
Yes.
He
every week.
I love it. Can't get enough of it. He, you know, Gregory was the forerunner of Cosby.
Yeah, but Cosby's sadly still alive. We need to get a death pool going for that.
What a horror show of a human being.
Oh my God. I mean, you almost think that his son got the best part of the deal. I don't know.
Well, you know, the bad part about him for me is that, well, not him, but so many people, when he was let out of jail, as we all know, it wasn't because the conviction was overturned. It was a technical thing. He's going back to jail.
Right.
But,
well, maybe.
But these people are going, Justice, Felicia Rashad, I can't believe she was this stupid. After he was let go, she was, justice is served. Come on, Felicia, read a goddamn newspaper.
She's got. I mean, she's made her money. She doesn't need to worry about it.
And she made it off him. So, you know, that's why she did that. Yeah, I remember when he was arrested, she said, you know, you're destroying a legacy. And I felt like saying, no. He's destroying a legacy.
Well, maybe
I didn't do shit.
A 30-year history of banging passed out chicks that he roofied. I just tossed.
And you know, one of the women who he assaulted, she said, the thing I never understood was he was good looking, he was wealthy, he was widely respected. If he needed to get laid, there were women who would line up. Why did he have to drug people? And, you know, why?
Yeah.
And, well, the answer is he's a sociopath. That's the answer.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you need your date passed out, then you're only half away from.
Or you're a middle act in Ohio.
Well,
yeah, there you go.
I've met a few. Yes. God.
Yeah. The only time the middle act got laid was if it was a black comic in the Midwest. That was it.
Oh boy.
I got news for you. I worked with a guy in the Midwest in Parma, Ohio.
Yep.
And I can't remember this guy's name, but God, he was stupid. He had his girlfriend with him. And, you know, I'm trying to be nice because I felt so bad for her. What, Cass? Okay. You have soup. Yeah, there's corn chowder in there. Sorry. And I said, you know, your girlfriend seems very, very nice. And he goes, the bitch is just a throwdown. And I said, you know, she's like 3 feet away. And he goes, so? And I went, God, you're like too stupid to live.
Yeah, but he's the guy who eventually wakes up tied to his bed, smelling of kerosene, with her standing on top of him with a book of matches.
Or he's got a hit sitcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
2 endpoints. Yeah.
Actually, I have to take that back. He is actually too stupid to have a sitcom because he would say something. He would say something to someone on the set, and that would be the end of it.
Well, let's not discount the programming on the CW. I mean,
there's that.
I mean, would that even be a sitcom at that point, though? It's just something to think about.
You know, you say to this guy, listen, Robert, we have to change the name of the sitcom. It can't be What You Wanted. What You Mean, Bitch is not a good title. I mean, it's spicy.
It tested well in L.A.
I always wanted Sinbad sitcom to be titled "Bitches Be Doing Some Shopping."
Who's Sinbad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the joke. Yeah. Well, you know the famous joke
Bitches
about him, right? Actually, you can do this about a lot of people, and it's been done about a lot of people. You know, folks, fame is a fleeting thing. I was talking to my cab driver, Sinbad, and I said, you know. But see, he screwed himself.
Oh, what
did no one screwed him. He screwed himself.
Yeah.
What he threatened the life of a producer on a different world.
Are you kidding me?
I'll tell you the story. I think I told it already, but I'll tell you again.
No, got to hear this. I've not heard.
Okay.
That.
I don't think Jason was here the night you told that story.
All right, I'll make it quick. I'll make it quick. Which is also how I make love. But anyway, I'll make it quick. He was on the TV show A Different World.
Yes.
We'll be here all hour.
Right. and he was making up his lines. And the other actors were saying, these are our cues. He can't do that. We're standing there with our thumb up our ass because he's making up his lines. And the producer came up to him and said, what the hell do you think you're doing? Read the damn script. You can't do what you're doing. You're leaving the other actors adrift. Don't do that. And he's standing there. And this is him talking. When I heard him say this, he was on the Bob Costa show. This was him saying this. I didn't make this up or hear from someone else. And he said, so I'm standing there with a big smile. And I said to the producer, listen, I'm smiling. So everybody thinks you and I are having a good time. But if you ever talk that way to me again, I'll break your goddamn neck. And I'll do it in front of people.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, why don't you just rape somebody in front of him? What, are you insane? And he never worked in TV again.
That's one approach. I don't think it's necessarily the right one, but you can do that.
In other words, so somebody says, what happened to Sinbad? My answer is Sinbad.
Yeah, that'll do it. And
now he had like a couple specials from like the Virgin Islands or something, doing stand-up, but nothing within a mile of the fame he had. You know how he started, right? He got out of the Air Force and he went from city to city doing stand-up, and he would walk up to the owner of the club and say, listen, my name is Sinbad, and I'd like to audition for you. Now, if I suck, you'll never see me again. But if I kill, I'd like to work here. So he killed every time. And in Birmingham, Alabama, he actually had, and this is 6 months after he started, he headlined 2 weeks in a row.
Nice.
Wow.
He was also the first comic I ever saw who carried a laptop. His family were his management. His uncle, his father, his brother, whatever. He had it to, organization wise, he was a genius, but he couldn't shut up. He could not shut up.
Didn't he run the table on Star Search?
No.
Who did he lose to?
This is Sam Greenfield with the real story. He won 13 weeks in a row. Then he lost, and then he lost in the finals to anybody? John Kassir.
Oh, John Kassir. John Kassir beat Rosie O'Donnell too.
Yeah, that was same year.
Yeah.
Sinbad beat Ron Gallup. John Kassir beat Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh my God,
and then Kassir beat Sinbad, and Sinbad took it very gracefully. The next day they have the champions breakfast. He didn't show.
Yeah, it sounds typical of a second placer.
Well,
what's it like, Red Ribbon?
Oh God.
But I remember I was doing a show one time, and it was me, him, and a couple other comics. It was in Louisville, and we're in this condo, and Bobby Kosser was on TV doing Letterman.
Mm-hmm.
And Sinbad was saying Bobby Kosser's line, whatever the punchline was, 2 seconds before Kosser. So one of the comics said, could you not do that? And it was like he didn't say anything. He just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it.
Wow.
He was, he was a dick.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And then I remember I said to another comic, I said, I'm going to lie to Sinbad, and he's not going to know I'm lying. So there was a basketball player, Kyle Macy, and he said, I think it was from Peru, Indiana. And Sinbad talked about him like he knew him. And he said, Kyle Macy, the big-headed boy from Peru. I love that kid. And I said, you know he's a stone racist. You know that, right? You know he's like in a white supremacist group, right? And he goes, oh, yeah, I never liked him to begin with. And I looked at the comic. I went, told you.
Yeah.
And then if I had gone back and said, I'm just kidding, he's really a great guy. He's actually vice president of the local NAACP. I knew you were kidding. Blah. The password is soulless. Soulless.
Well, again, one of those people who lives for the crowd and nothing else.
That's right. He runs with the pack.
Which will work to a certain point. I mean, the guy sold more tickets than I have, and I'm the one driving the cab, not him. But
you don't know if he's not driving a cab now.
Yeah, we don't know that now.
And I'll tell you something else. If he is driving a cab, the passenger is going, I'll tip you extra if you'll shut the fuck up. I don't care if you were on Star Search in 1984, okay? I don't care. Oh, by the way, the thing that doomed him in the championship round was one of the judges was, well, there were two female judges out of the four, but one of them was Dionne Warwick. And if you know anything about Dionne Warwick, she kind of made her own way. I mean, you know, she was very lucky that Burt Bacharach discovered her and, you know, wrote great songs for her. But, you know, she made her own way, to her great credit. And Sinbad comes on and dressed in an outfit that Eddie Murphy would have said, that's a little loud. He says, man, if you take your women shopping, your woman shopping, you might as well bop yourself in the head, because she's going to spend all your money. Because, you know, women, they don't know how to make their own way. And the camera went, whoever the director was should have won an Emmy. The camera went to Dionne Warwick, and she had this look on her face. You're going to lose. Okay, you could buy me a house. You're going to lose.
Well, didn't Dionne and Burt have a thing, or am I mistaken?
No, I don't think so. Burt was married to Angie Dickinson at the time.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm just saying, nothing against Dionne, but Angie Dickinson versus an overbite. I don't know.
Yeah.
Angie knew what she was doing. I mean, one of the best lines from The Sopranos was when Junior Soprano says, "Yeah, and I want to bang Angie Dickinson." Yeah, again, who even gets that line anymore?
Dominic Shinese.
Oh, yeah, he's still alive, I think.
He's still around.
Yeah, Tony Sirico is not. But again, Dominic was, boy, talk about a great actor. Someone who plugged in.
But he was in Q&A.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
excuse me, I got chickens to pluck.
I still remember him as Johnny Ola in Godfather 2. I mean,
met an untimely end.
Well, yeah.
You know, if you're going to die, cause of death, coat hanger. I'm telling you, that's not good.
Well, yeah, ask Keith Carradine about that, or David. I'm not sure which one decided to turn himself into a piñata while wearing lingerie. That was David Carradine.
He did what?
David Carradine.
Oh, David Carradine. He hanged himself. He hanged himself while
asphyxiation.
Yeah.
Auto asphyxiation. Yeah.
Isn't that how Ray Combs died?
I don't know.
But you know, a lot of time. I have heard. Now, you guys know. Well, I don't know if Jason does, but Andy, you remember the kid from, oh shit, what's his name? The kid from Windsor that used to work with Leo all the time. What was his name?
Oh God. Yeah, he's doing radio, I think, right? He's doing
He's not doing anything now because he's not doing anything now. He passed away about 12 years ago.
God, I don't know.
Oh God.
You know what's funny about this? I don't know who you're talking about, but there's 4 people. I hope it is.
Well, choking your chicken that badly, it would seem to be a little bit difficult. You know, I mean, the chicken is supposed to choke, not you.
I always looked at it that way too.
Well, and chicken can mean a lot of things, especially if you're
Eric
in prison.
Tunney.
Yeah. Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, I remember Eric Tunney.
Eric Tunney hanged himself, and over in Canada, the coroner.
Where it costs less to hang yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it costs with the exchange rate.
The rope is that much shorter. Yes.
But the coroner offered to make it auto asphyxiation. In other words, which is more humiliating, that they died from hanging themselves, or it was a mistake during a jerk off session, a masturbatory. Yeah, exactly. And somebody told me that Robin Williams' family got offered the same thing, that some of these people that get auto asphyxiation as their cause of death,
because it's not suicide.
Some families would prefer that to suicide. In other words, he was jerking off and it got out of control, and
it might be for financial reasons.
Robin Williams,
that could be.
Because if you kill yourself, you don't get insurance proceeds.
Right, but
right. And now I know, and Eric Tunney was Catholic, and in Catholicism, you missed your chance for heaven by killing yourself. So
here's what happens, because I used to sell insurance. If you buy an insurance policy and you commit suicide 2 years and 1 day after you buy it, you get the insurance proceeds.
Yes.
But the reason they do that is not just to like screw people out of money, but it's to say, the guy was going to kill himself, but he had 2 years to think about it. He had planned to kill himself. Right. He had 2 years to think it over. What would this do to my family? And a lot of times they say people change their minds.
Right.
Unless you have a wife who goes, if you had any balls, you would have done it by now.
Yeah. And my wife would have done that in verse.
Yeah.
TikTok, honey.
The response would have been, well, it's about time. What took him so long?
Oh, hear the call. Have some balls. Give it all.
But anytime there's somebody that dies from hanging, like Carradine, like Robin Williams, like Eric Tunney, the families are offered that cause of death. You can say, well, we could say he did it and it was a mistake. He didn't mean to kill himself. And some families want that. They want to.
Well,
that would be very tough with Robin Williams because he was in the throes of Louis' dementia.
Yes, I know. Again, I've heard. I wasn't in the coroner's office when this was being discussed. I'm just saying. I heard you were.
Things, I heard you were right there.
I was right there. Anybody know of any gigs available?
Oh, that's hysterical.
I heard that. That was an unclub night.
What's that old joke about the gambler who dies, and the preacher says, and it's nothing but gamblers at the funeral, and he goes, Louis is not dead. He merely sleeps. And the guy goes, I got $50, says he's dead.
Oh, I got gambling money.
Oh, that's the greatest line ever. Do you know that line, guys?
No.
Letterman
is Letterman's line, yeah.
Letterman is at a casino, and a guy comes up to him and says, Mr. Letterman, I hate to ask you this. You don't know me, but my wife was in an auto accident, and in order to get her treated, I need $500. And I swear to God, I'll pay you back. I really will. I have no one else to turn to. And Letterman said, so Letterman's telling the story. He said, so I said to the guy, you came upon the right guy, because I love helping people in need. I do. But how do I know you won't spend it on gambling? And the guy said, oh, I got gambling money. That's one of
my favorite jokes of all time.
And he kept going back to it with Paul. You go, Paul, yes. I got gambling money.
Yes. Yes.
The old Buddy Hackett routine where the man is berating his wife who lost $1,000 at the crap table. just absolutely giving her the business, saying you lost $1,000. And she says, "What are you talking about? You lost $20,000 last night." He goes, "Hey, I know how to gamble."
That's great. You know,
you guys remember, speaking of losing money in gambling, what's his Albert Brooks movie? What was that? Modern. What's the name? Modern
Prop. No, that was Chevy Chase.
No, Lost in America.
Lost in America. Oh my!
With Julie Haggerty.
Yes, and they get the job at Wiener Schnitzel. Oh God!
And the guy punches Albert Brooks in the mouth, and Julie Haggerty goes, "Listen, don't be mad at him. To hear him tell it, those people wanted to get shot." The best line in that joke is, "To hear him tell it."
Yes.
When he's trying to convince the casino manager to give the money back.
Yeah.
I mean,
who was it? Now, wasn't that the casino manager? Was the sitcom producer?
Yeah, it was Gary Moore.
Gary Marshall, wasn't that the casino manager? Was Gary Marshall?
Yeah, Penny Marshall's brother.
He did some acting. Yeah. He was in Soap Dish.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
You know who else was a great actor who wasn't an actor? Was Sidney Pollack. Sidney Pollack did some great roles.
Oh yeah, Tootsie.
Yeah,
that's one shot where he
and was it Michael? What's the thing with George Clooney? Michael. He played a lawyer. Plays a fixer.
Michael Clayton. Or something
Michael Clayton. God damn it! You know what's amazing about that movie to me? That scene at the end between him and Tilda Swinton.
Mm-hmm.
And then they played together again as lovers in Burn After Reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he says to her, "Listen, I think your husband's a schnook, but try not to hammer him." What did you say? You said I hammer? And she takes her hand and she pounds the table and goes, "I don't hammer." Well, who was great in that movie was Malkovich.
Oh, he's great in everything. He's great in everything. Here, now there's an actor. This is
a crucifixion.
Yeah, there's an act. That's the type of actor. Well, I'll look and see if he's in something, and watch it, even if I have no other interest in it, just to see John Malkovich. So,
he told a story about when he was, like, I guess in college, and he drove a school bus.
Mm-hmm.
He told this on Letterman. He drove a school bus, and it was.
I drove a school bus.
And he drove it, and it was Jewish kids from wealthy families. Okay, and one of the kids
who hasn't done that? Drove a school bus with Jewish kids.
Honestly, me.
Okay.
And this kid walks up to him when they're finally at the school, and this kid. He said this kid was so mad, his little fists were balled up and shaking. And he goes, "You are the worst driver of school children ever." And he goes, "Why would you say that?" "Why would I say that? Haven't you ever noticed that everyone sits in the back? We're scared to death of a collision. You're the worst driver ever."
That's funny. No, man.
God.
And by the way, talk about a guy with variety. The movie he made with Clint Eastwood, where he plays the assassin.
Yes. But he's also in Steven Spielberg's. What's the movie with Christian Bale? Where he gets thrown into a Japanese prisoner of war camp.
Emperor of the Sun.
He's got about 15 lines in that movie, but he's one of those guys with 10 or 15 lines can just steal every little bit of cinema, every little bit of film there is to be had.
What was the movie he made with Sam Waterston?
Killing Fields. Another one. Yeah, with
Killing Fields. Yeah.
My favorite John Malkovich film. Yeah, my favorite John Malkovich film is still Dangerous Liaisons.
Oh my God, you see that's one where they
should have never remade that movie.
Well, the remake.
Yeah, why did they do that?
Because they thought they could make $3.
Yeah, and that's about all it should have made. No, the original was.
It's beyond.
And there were good actors in it.
Control.
There were good actors in it, but they shouldn't have done it.
It's beyond My
Is
Control.
it Glenn Close or Meryl Streep who plays the
Glenn Close?
Glenn Close, and the girl
Michelle
was
Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer, and there was another younger girl. Who was the younger?
Uma
younger
Thurman?
than Michelle Pfeiffer.
Thurman.
Uma Thurman. That was it. Uma Thurman. Yep.
Oh, I taught her things that would.
Oh man, I want to go see that again.
Uma
now.
Thurman for 300, Alex. Oh, you can get it for less than that.
Do you guys all have Hulu?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Andy, do you got Hulu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Andy said that like, who wants to know?
Who's that? Yeah, who's asking? Yeah. Who's asking? No, the old man with Jeff Bridges.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet. No.
Yeah, John Lithgow and Jeff Bridges, they're both great.
You know what amazes me about Bridges is that for so many years of his career, he played a young, handsome, well-built guy, and now he plays cantankerous old farts, and he nails it.
Yeah,
I know. He's great,
and he's not scared to look that way.
Yeah.
Well, why should you be? I mean, you're old. He's 70 years old.
No, it's the actor's ego. I think there's a lot of actors who could have that opportunity, and they don't.
Yeah. They don't want to play the old.
You know what? Who am I to say? If I had that success, maybe I'd have an ego too.
I mean, I was offered the part, but I said, no, I got to stick with ingenue.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to have the lead. There we go. Yeah.
I was offered the part, but during every screen test, they go, no mugging. No mugging.
Well, I won't tell you about the series that I did for Pornhub, but you guys figure that one out yourselves.
Does anybody do a series for Pornhub? I thought that just
was that in limited. Was that in limited release, so to speak?
Limited release.
It was in 3-minute segments. That's the whole thing, you know.
You know, that's what I've always said. I don't understand why any of those movies is longer than 72 seconds. I mean, what are you looking for? Nuance? What are you...
I believe they call the 2-minute ones the woman's version.
Yeah, well,
yes.
The director's cut.
Well,
director's cut. Oh, this is the ceiling.
I think it was cut.
Yeah.
Or you could call it
the uncut
direct to date night.
Well, the uncut one is not for Jews. That's all I know.
Exactly. That would be the German film.
I love this group.
Yeah.
I love that. These old fart comedians. These guys are hilarious.
Well, if anyone can really bring down serious aspects.
Can I tell you the difference between us and younger comics? And this is no kidding. Younger comics would be trying to do bits.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we're all talking, and we're all smart guys. We're all very sharp. We are. You know, no sense in bullshitting. We are. A young comic would say something like, hey guys, did you ever see a guy? No, we didn't. Yeah. Now go sit down until someone calls your name.
Now we'd go on to something else, and then this kid would come in about 30 seconds later. So I was talking about trying to get back into the bit, and we go, no, we're past that. Move on.
You know, I'm not in favor of the death penalty, but if I was, it would be for this. Ladies, am I right?
Jason, what was the best joke you? Jason, what was the best joke you did last night? What'd you get the best reaction on last night?
You know, I'm not. I think when I signed off was saying, "Here's Mark Sweetman and Hail Satan." When I said
that was funny.
That's when the crowd. You know, I did 2 rants and I put them together, and they got some good. You know, and again, when I stop the one and say I'm available for birthday parties, kids shows, you know,
that was funny.
After I'm doing the bit about driving around with the aborted baby head suspended from my rearview mirror with the little sunglasses so I don't see the mommy "why did you kill me" look on its face. You know,
I got an idea for you. How about we introduce you? I'll just say this next guy hires himself out for rants. So he just does these shows as sort of an advertiser teaser for you. So if you need somebody to go on a rant, here's the guy you want to hire. And then I'll introduce you as brother Jason. Not Jason Grant, just call you brother Jason, and then you can go into the rant.
I did steal from Brother Theodore last night. I openly ripped off his joke, and I actually liked telling it. The crowd didn't get it, but I
saw him live.
I haven't. I've seen his stuff on YouTube.
But which Brother Theodore joke did you do?
I did I doctored it just a little bit, but I did Einstein is dead, Stephen Hawking's is dead, and I'm not feeling so good myself. But I like his approach.
That's an old Catskill joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but
I think it is. I don't think that's Brother Theodore. I think that's an old Catskill joke.
Maybe he wrote it. He was that old.
All right.
But
you know the joke. You know what? Whenever he went on the Letterman show, Letterman killed me. He'd come on the show and he'd go, "Brother Theodore, everybody," and he would sit down and go, "Ted, how are you, Ted?" and Theodore would look at him and go, "How am I?" And I'd start laughing.
Yeah,
I would just start laughing. How am I? Up
when
until
he
the
did
moment
that,
you said, "How are you?" I was fine.
Yes.
When Brother Theodore would do this, David would talk to him, and he'd be like this, just looking down at the other side, and then he'd say something, and just his eyes would move up. I used to love that.
I mean, no, he was an amazing character, and one of the ways that I get introduced before, or I have before, has been I've been introduced as Ann Arbor's bitterest fruit, and I like that.
No, I don't like that either. I just say this next guy hires himself out for rants. So if you want somebody to rant for you, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Brother Jason. I think that'd be great.
Put me on next week because I'm just kicking the rust off. I'm,
all right,
now when you say put me on next week, and I can put you on the confirmed list.
Assassin, how's that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me put you on the confirmed list so you don't have to do the wait list shit. I'm going to put you on the confirmed list.
Confirm me for next week. I'm getting the rust
off.
And
you're on.
I'm starting to think, there's a Monday night open mic up there. I don't know, up near Royal Oak. I forget where it is. Right there on Woodward. In Ferndale.
Yeah, it's at the new way on 9 Mile and
Woodward, the new way. And I'm just thinking, the problem I've had is I've just sat on my ass too long, and I need to get out there and just do these a couple nights in a row, because it only gets better with more practice.
Can you go there tonight?
Too late tonight, but we'll get time in there soon.
They go from 7 o'clock in the evening until 1 o'clock in the morning. It is a 6-hour show.
Wow.
Yeah, but they turn the crowds. I've seen some people go up a couple of times. Okay. Once the crowd's turned, they'll take another spot later in the show.
That's where I got the one joke that I really like about going to visit my mom, and I was going to bring her flowers, but instead I just threw a bunch of seeds in the urn and said, "Push up that daisy."
When I was doing open mics, when I was emceeing open mics, there was this comic. I shouldn't call him a comic. That's an insult to all of us. But his name was Jerry Robin. And he would show up when he felt. These are all open micers, and you're starving for stage time. And he would come in late, or not show up at all. Right. And I said to him one time, I said, if you're gonna have an assigned time, you got to be here. And he goes, "Well, I'm a busy guy." I said, "Yeah, because the rest of us are on our yacht." No, you have to. I said, you have to show up. And so he says, "Look, well, I have other things to do, and you know what I mean." I said, "Jerry, I have no idea what you mean. But if you say anything to me after this, other than, I just didn't give a shit, I would at least respect your honesty. Because you don't. If you did, you'd show up." So he shows up. He says, so he shows up the next week on time. I mean, right on time. He goes, "I'm going to blow this crowd away." So I said, "All right." I still have the radiation burns from where he bombed. and so I get on stage, and I don't believe in trashing comics who die. I don't. Because, it's bad enough, they died. But this guy was arrogant and shitty. So I decided, all right, I'll break my own rule. So I said, "That was Jerry Robin, everybody. Jerry's a promising comic who tonight well, he broke that fucking promise, and I want to apologize. and he said, I'm never coming back here. I said, okay.
And
okay.
Yeah.
He goes, no, I mean it. I said, are you under the impression I feel threatened? Are you under the impression oh, Jerry's not showing up. I wonder if I can get 300 people to take his place. So he didn't show up the next week. And he called me and he said, did anyone fill in for me? I said, Jerry, no one's filling in for you. Okay. You're not Carson. Okay. You decided you didn't want to do the show anymore. And we got someone else to do it. And he goes, who? I go, Jeff Jeffries. He goes, he's not funny. He goes, he's funnier than guys who don't show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
My favorite.
And he'll get better. He'll get better because he really cares.
Yeah.
Of course, I was wrong about that. He continued to suck, but you know.
my favorite new comic burn, and it's been 40 years since I said this, but it still makes me laugh when I think about it. We had a guy at the castle. He bombed so bad that I got up there, go, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody's clapping. Come on. Think about it. If that man had been Barabbas, we wouldn't have a weekend. We would just have the Sabbath.
That's great.
Isn't that a great line?
Oh my God,
that's
great.
I love, and I've never used it again since then. But I get laughs telling the story about using it 42 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's great.
If that man had been Barabbas, we wouldn't have weekends. We'd just have the Sabbath.
Jeff Ross told a joke one time. We were playing poker, and he said, "You know who I worked with last week? Steven Seagal. Do you know how bad he is? I fired my agent."
Oh God, that's funny. Is there still a game? Is there still a game in New York? Because
I was in that game and I was fired from the game.
No, William Stevenson was trying to get me in.
I was one of the originators, and they fired me from the game. And
is that Eddie Brill's? Is that Eddie Brill's game?
That Eddie Brill's house at 11.
And William Stevenson
who passed away.
Yep.
Here's the thing about that game. Two of the guys who were in the game are dead.
Yeah, there you go.
Vic Henley and William Stevenson.
Yep.
And I haven't played, and this is funny. I can tell you, and the funny thing about this is, and I'm not rationalizing about this, it didn't matter if I got fired, because the week after I got fired, I started doing a radio show. I was already doing radio, but now I was doing a radio show from 5:30 in the morning till 9:30 in the morning. There was no way I could do poker and then show up and do that show. So it didn't matter. I mean, it hurt that I got fired, but it didn't matter. I would have had to have quit. But the thing that I said to Barbara, I said, when William died, they asked me, are you going to, contribute to his funeral expenses? And I went, no. And they said, well, why? Because you got fired? I said, no, that's not why. I said, I think the guys who helped kill him should get fired. Should contribute, rather.
Should contribute, yeah.
And he goes, what does that mean? I said, what does it mean? I said, all of you sat around here while William quit smoking for like 2 years. While William went back to smoking, continued to drink heavily. At midnight, he would order a pastrami sandwich with French fries, and he would smoke enough pot to kill Helen Keller. So that, and that, he gained a lot of weight. None of you ever took him aside and said, I didn't say he needed an intervention, but none of you took him aside and said, man, you got to really slow down.
Yeah.
And none of you, you just let him drink and smoke and dope himself to death. And now you're looking at me for money? No. I said, and by the way, Vic Henley drank himself to death. Okay. One of the greatest comedic minds I've ever met in my life. And you all sat here and when I asked you, what are you doing about it? Well, we hid the liquor. Oh, that's good, because when he leaves here, there won't be any place for him to buy booze. Are you guys drunk? What's wrong with you? What you should have done was said, you can't play poker anymore as long as you're drinking, and we'll take you to a program. But none of you did that. None of you. So that's 2 guys you helped kill. Fuck you. And I hung up. And so Barbara said, way to let him down easy, honey.
This has been another Greenfield moment.
So this is another moment in what passes for real bitterness.
Were you like dealing or
I'm sorry?
I said, were you a dealer for this game or
no. Everybody.
No, it was
the deal passed around.
Okay.
Yeah, friendly poker game.
Just a poker game.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. I had a great time, but once they decided to dump me,
right?
And I said, "Why are you dumping me?" Well, you bet out a turn. I said, "No, really." and they said, "Well, you got on our nerves." I said, "Why didn't you sit me down and say, Sam, this is what you're doing that gets on our nerves. Can you stop doing this?" And I would have said, "Of course," and I would have stopped. But that would have been the courageous thing to do, because as you know, at my height and weight, I could probably kill all of you with one hand. You're assholes. You really, seriously. So that's what happened.
Well, how much money does a game like this? I mean, again, I'm not a gambler, obviously. Or
I've lost up to $300.
Well, that's not too. I'm thinking, sort of like what Andrew Dice Clay talking about losing just ungodly sums of money.
Do you know a game where a lot of money passed hands? The people who worked on Saturday Night Live.
Yes. Yeah,
thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and tons of coke and well, again, the stories of people running the other way when they heard Chevy Chase coming down the doorway or coming down the hallway, and they would turn and run in the opposite direction to stay out of his sight.
Who's that?
Chevy Chase.
Oh, what a terrible guy.
Jane Curtin, of all people, Jane Curtin torches him in her own little way. She's almost like Catherine O'Hara in that she isn't being mean. She's just simply telling the truth. And that's enough to illustrate the real Chevy Chase.
Yeah, a lot of times there are people like him, and they have a generally nice persona, public persona, and you don't find out they're assholes. But with him, it's like everyone knew.
Yeah.
It was like the worst. I was about to say the worst kept secret. It was never a secret.
It was never a secret.
No. And then he got the opportunity.
It's almost as if you wanted Danny. It's almost as if you wanted Danny Thomas to shit on Chevy Chase
without the plate.
Maybe he could go
exactly. Exactly.
But then he got the opportunity of a lifetime, considering how bad his reputation was when he got Community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy that was the creator and the showrunner of Community left the show because of Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
And what's the guy's name who does Atlanta?
I don't know.
Oh, Donald Glover.
Yeah.
My daughter knew. Thank you, honey. Donald Glover. He made fun of him. He made racial jokes about him.
Yeah.
Well, just shut up and learn your lines, man.
Yeah, I think of him as the Jeff George of comedians, because
wow.
Jeff George obviously being the one guy who managed to screw his way out of the NFL and being a coach killer all along the way.
Someone told me, he used to play for Washington for a while.
Yeah.
And I said to someone, this guy has a natural gift as a quarterback. He has a great arm.
An amazing quarterback.
Why doesn't he do better? And the guy I was talking to who knows sports said he's the dumbest person to ever quarterback.
Yeah.
He said it's amazing he knows how to tie his shoes.
And if you look at some of if you look at some of the
walking that high off the ground.
Keep talking. It's just our closing music. You can keep talking. We got a couple minutes left, so keep going.
No,
when I want you to shut up, I'll turn it up.
Jeff George, nobody going back to help him up. He gets clocked, and he's just laying.
Nobody would help him get up.
Nobody would help him get up. Nobody. And, I mean, the NFL has ways of sending signals like anybody else. Yeah. And you're just one of those talented, gifted people who's just such a fucking asshole.
But enough of Art Schleister.
Oh. Artie's on the run tonight. He'll be appearing at a guard shack somewhere outside of Pacoima.
What a great name for a city.
Well, we spent 90 minutes discussing all the things we wanted to talk about and had a great time doing it. Yeah, the outskirts of El Segundo. There you go.
Ashtabula welcomes and loves you.
Wake up, Wapakoneta.
Good evening, Canajahari.
Toodaloos to Tulsa.
Which is slut spelled backwards.
And they'll always remind you of that in Tulsa. So. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. We'll be here every Monday night at 8 o'clock, at least for the near future.
And that's
I might talk to you guys. I might talk to you guys about possibly doing it earlier. There's just too many things I'm missing out on Monday nights now. And my son, now that my son is getting funny, I want to start getting into some of these rooms. So
if you're a real comic, you would sabotage his career and then laugh at him.
There you go.
Ridicule.
That's why I'm not. You know what? I'm a father before I'm a comic. That's all there is to it. I mean, you know what? Would I have moved back here when we had too many kids to afford California? If I wasn't a father first instead of a comic. So.
Well, my mother would have called me a dickless wonder for not getting out there and doing it but that's
my mother never said much about my comedy because she's dead.
All right, the music has died. The music has died out. We're going to end the broadcast. Stick around. We'll talk afterwards. But I got to shut the thing down now.
I got to get going to my kid. I'll be right back.
We're going off the air and.